What's up, guys? My name is Royce and welcome to my channel where I talk about all things film and tech related. And today we're going to be talking about some interesting storage solutions for the new Mac Mini M4. Well, I mean, it's newish. It's been out for what, a little over a month now. That's when I got mine. And I'm telling y'all, I love this thing for its size and its price. This is the base model Mac Mini M4. This thing is a beast. For the price point and what it's able to offer and what I do for most of my work, this does the job really well. Power button's at the bottom. Should it be? No, but honestly, I don't care. I'm the type of person where this thing is on 99% of the time, except for right now because I'm holding it in my hands. For the base model, $599, $600, 16 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. You get that new M4 chip. In my opinion, way more than enough to get started on your content creation journey. Actually, you know what? Forget that. Even if you are in the middle, at the top, whatever. I've gotten this base model and I absolutely love it, and it's working perfectly for my needs and how I'm using it. There are still some people where 256 gigs is just not gonna cut it, right? If you are using a whole bunch of different apps, that storage is going to be filled up pretty quickly, which has now started this wave of information about how to upgrade the storage in the Mac Mini M4 without having to pay the premium price that Apple charges. I'm gonna break down two options that I feel like haven't really been talked about a lot on the internet, at least of what I've seen. And the two solutions I'm talking about are these guys right here. They are two NVMe enclosures. This one right here is by Satechi, and then this one is by Sharge Disk. Now, Satechi as a company, I'm way more familiar with. I've gotten a lot of USB-C hubs from them, and this actually just dropped not too long ago. I wanna say maybe a couple weeks ago. But Sharge's option, this I've had for, I want to say about a year. This dropped. So they were really ahead of the game with this. And I thought it was really cool and unique. Given their size, they only take the 2230 sized NVMe drives. And the one I have here is a 2 terabyte drive by AdLink. And the main reason I got it was, one, I thought the size was really cool. And I thought I could use it for two separate purposes. One, I had a Steam Deck at the time and thought this would be kind of a cool storage solution for my games on there. But then I tried that and it was a little funky, kind of like having this like at the top of the Steam Deck and still playing. Like, it was still fine. It was better than having a hard drive dangled. I just wanted something a little bit faster than a micro SD card. But when I wasn't really feeling that solution, I thought, well, actually this could work. And I saw that they advertised that this works with as an external SSD when recording with your camera. So I used that actually for a little bit with my Blackmagic Micro Studio. And I thought that pairing was really cool. But even with it being so small, still kind of became a situation where it was a little bit too bulky. From that point on, I just kind of used it as just a regular external drive, and it's actually been amazing. And also where it's really come in handy is whenever I want to shoot Apple Log with my 15 Pro Max. This is where this is actually really great. And Sharge didn't really see any competition to my knowledge until Satechi dropped theirs. And these guys, like, honestly, these two are pretty much the exact same product, minus a couple very minor differences. First being the way that you insert the drive. They both have this little like front door that just like slides off, which is really cool. And it just drops back in like that. And Satechi's the same. They both have a little lock on the side. You just flip that up to unlock it, and then you push it up and you can take it off. You can insert it in there. And they're both toolless, which means they have this little rubber piece in the middle that holds it down. The difference with Satechi though, is when you slide the door back on, with Sharge it kind of drops. Satechi has a little like magnet part of it. So like it kind of secures it before you even lock it. So even if you unlock it by accident, this thing's really not going anywhere until you apply pressure. See there, they both have that sliding lock. Both have vents on the side. They both have cooling fans on the back. And when you plug these in, you actually hear the fans going. So I would say that's actually one downside. They both also come with these USB adapters and extenders, because as you can see with each one, they have the USB-C plug built right into the enclosure. But if you just need a little bit more space, a little bit more reach, you can take these out. Like, look at this. They even like come encased the same way. Sharge Disk version though, it also has a shockproof case. So if you drop it, it's just a little bit extra protection. You see, you can just slide it in like that. Push this down. So yeah, it's a little bit extra protection you can add to it. There's supposed to be a little door that closes, but I lost that piece somewhere. But yeah, it's not just exposed once it's in the case like this. And here are the two USB-C cables. And this is the side that you would plug the actual enclosures in. And then plugged in, they look like that. So if you just want a little bit extra reach, Both cables, I believe, are 7.8 inches. And with Satechi, I'll show you how to install the NVMe drive. Pop it in. And then you use the little rubber part here, finagle that around until it snaps in, and now it's secured. Drop the enclosure door in back like that. Got that magnetic part. And that's what it looks like with the drive in. Pretty cool. And taking it out is also easy. You just move that over and then you just pull it out. Like that. And with Sharge, it's literally the exact same. Just slide that in, push it in, finagle the rubber, drop the door in. I forgot. Again, this doesn't have the magnetic one, so you have to push it down a little bit, then lock it up. And then that's what it looks like. And now I'll show you what it looks like with this plugged in and kind of the allure, at least for me, why I think it's an interesting solution, right? It's not plugged in, so you won't hear the SSD actually turn on, so we won't hear the fan yet. Here's Satechi, right? Plug it into the back, because this is how I would use it. It's kind of funny. It sticks out like that, right? But you set this down on the table, you know, most of the time it's gonna be facing forward. You don't even see it. And like with other external drives, you don't have that cable kind of running around. Like for example, my SanDisk would kind of like sit next to it and it's kind of running back. Not a big deal, right? But this kind of provides a solution. You plug it in the back, you forget it. Now the downside though is you essentially kind of lose one of the USB-C ports because of how thick it is. It kind of takes out one of them because they're so close to each other. So you really only have one, whatever you plug it in, kind of like one and then the other. You definitely don't want to plug this into the middle if you plug it in the back, because then you lose all the other ports. So you need to do one of the other sides. Also, be careful how you're taking this out, because it is a little flimsy for the actual plug itself. So if you have it to the side, don't rip it to one side or the other, because you could bend it. At least it feels that way. Just something to keep in mind. So this also is a solution where you might want to have, you know, this back here. This is kind of like your storage option where you put all your files and everything. And then you still would want some type of like USB-C hub that goes into the other one, just so it opens up some more USB-C ports, right? Or don't want to worry about that. You could just take up one of the front ones if you don't use that. But then this is like sticking out. Another option, just plug in the USB-C cable and kind of use it as you would another external drive. And, you know, because it's still small, you can still kind of tuck this behind the Mac Mini where people wouldn't even really recognize it if you kind of want to keep your setup nice and clean, right? But just be careful because you don't want to block any of the vents. And just so you can see how it looks, it's pretty much the same with the Sharge Disk. The only thing with the Sharge Disk is the USB-C connector is kind of towards the right side of the front. So you kind of want to make sure that that part's sitting down, or else, as you can see, if I flip it over, yeah, you can see it's kind of sticking out at the bottom. So that's going to mess up a little bit when you kind of place it down, although maybe not, because we do have the vent down here that adds a little bit of support. But you just kind of want that nice flush look, just flip it over to the other side, plug it in like that. But same problem, you will lose one of the ports just because of how thick they are. Same option though, you can use Sharge's external USB-C cable and kind of finagle it however you want back here. All right, so first I'm going to plug in the Sharge Disk enclosure here. And I'm bringing my mic in just a little bit. There we go. So you actually can hear the fan of the drive. And now we'll test the speed of the Sharge Disk enclosure. Now we'll eject that and do the Satechi enclosure. So off the jump, I feel the Satechi's fan is actually a lot softer, and I have the mic the same distance away. It's almost really not too audible. Now let's run the speed test to see if there's any difference there. So it looks like the read and write speeds are pretty much almost exactly the same. And these are the front ports that I'm using, but the story is exactly the same using the back ports as well. And yeah, I know the sound is louder on Sharge Disk, but I have an NVMe enclosure that I use that I edit off of, so that has a fan that makes some noise, so I'm used to that. I have a full-blown built-out PC. I develop a lot of stuff in Unreal Engine. That gets really loud, so I'm kind of used to it at this point. Now let's talk about price. As we were mentioning, to upgrade the base model Mac Mini, you get that $599 price. Actually, on Amazon, it's going for $579. Not bad. You take what you can get with Apple products, right? Now, to jump up to 512 gigabytes, $744. So there's actually a little bit of a discount there as well. But you're pretty much looking at $200 jump just for that extra little bit of storage. If you go up to a terabyte, everything, like I said, then you're starting to get into the thousands. And at that point, you might as well look at getting a M4 Pro Mac Mini. Now I also have here Crucial X10 Pro 2 terabyte, which this thing is also really small. And I use this a lot too to record from my Blackmagic Micro and just for a lot of purposes. I really like this form factor. And this goes for $184 on Amazon. So pretty much a little bit cheaper, or if you want to say the same price point as upgrading your Mac Mini from 256 to 512, you can get 2 terabytes with this guy. And now this is where it gets interesting, because now getting back to these enclosures, Satechi's goes for $59.99. So this is $60 just for the enclosure. Sharge Disk, they just dropped their price to $33.90. So it's almost like this guy came out and then Sharge was like, oh, no, you don't. And then for the NVMe AdLink drive itself, it goes for $165. So the drive itself about the same as the other external SSDs, but add on top of that the enclosures. If you go with Sharge Disk, it's an extra $30, so pretty much $200. Definitely a little over $200 with Satechi. So you're actually paying a little bit more to kind of get a 2-part setup that you have to piece together versus just having a drive that just comes ready to go. Now, what I've seen online with a lot of YouTube videos is showing how you can use external drives to replace the internal drive, in a sense, on your Mac Mini. So all of your apps and everything install to this new external drive, which is great. That is a great solution. I wouldn't recommend doing it with these, because even though the speed of the NVMe drive is fast enough, labeled like going up to like 5,000 megabits a second, but you're not going to get that in these enclosures. So that's the only downside. So how I would recommend using these, if you are interested, is, for me, getting the base model, knowing I only have 256 gigs, I go in knowing that's what I have to work with, right? So as far as things that I want to do, I work around kind of that limit. So I know I'm not going to be able to use everything. And that's all right, because most of the time I don't really need to use everything. I need Final Cut, I need DaVinci. I personally use Pixelmator for all my like Photoshop type stuff, which is actually interesting because Apple just bought Pixelmator, so we'll see what they do with that. I use Notes, other like small apps that really don't take up that much space, because all of my files, video files, everything I'm transferring over that are larger files, those are all going on an external drive, whether I have 256 gigs or a whole terabyte internally. I'm not putting that stuff on my drive. So really the advantage of having better internal storage is so you can install more apps to do more things. A lot of the background stuff that you don't think about that actually takes up storage. So that's the mindset I have when using this, or really any external drive that I use, especially because of the limitations. A lot of these drives, you're not going to be able to get the same speeds as the internal drive of the Mac Mini anyway. Not saying you shouldn't do it, and there are a lot of great videos and tutorials that show you how to do it. So if that's what you're interested in, definitely look into that. So I even bothered getting these versus an all-in-one solution. It is the form factor, even though this guy is really small too, but I do like that it has its own USB-C plug that you can go straight in to your computer versus, plug in a cable and have that kind of dangle out. You do have the option with these to just kind of like plug in and let it sit. But with the additional cable that it comes with, you do have that option to extend it if you want. And with it having its own plug, the easeability of plugging it, say, into my phone, if I want to shoot some Apple log, if you do have something like a Steam Deck or whatever, you can plug that into that. So, it just provides a little bit more flexibility in how you want to use your drive. And then even speed wise, right? Like technically, this caps out at 1200 megabits. This can go all the way up to 2000 megabits. But if you don't have the right setup, the right cables and everything, USB-C is really confusing if you don't read the fine print. And most of us were buying these faster drives and we don't have the right setup to actually take advantage of it. And if you use an app like Blackmagic Disk Speed Test app, you'll see that this, for a lot of people, it's probably only going to cap out about 900 to 1,000 megabits, even though it's advertised at getting 2,000. And even with that 1,000 to 900 megabit cap, that's more than enough for most of us and what we're filming and doing, right? So given all that, and if the fan noise doesn't bother you too much, I do think both of these provide a really interesting storage solution for not just your Mac Mini, but for whatever computer setup that you may have. Like I said, I like them. I've invested in this a long time ago. I've liked it since then. I got this new one because I wanted wanted to see what they offered, if it was anything different. In the future though, if this can get upgraded to Thunderbolt 4, that would be absolutely fantastic. Then these guys all of a sudden now are in a whole other ballgame. But yeah, just want to give you guys something different to think about, right? When you're looking at upgrading your storage on your Mac Mini. If you like this video, you found it helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It really means a lot. And until next time, catch y'all later.